Crypto-imperialism is a condition when a country lies about its foreign policy and its imperial agenda to its own citizens so thoroughly and for so long that eventually the people running the country are themselves deluded into the belief that they are not in charge of an empire. This only works because the economic realities of an empire are still so central to policy making that the obvious needs of the empire get met as overwhelming internal pressure is exerted on each elected government to ensure that those needs are met. In the case of Egypt, the US would do absolutely anything that it took to keep in power a government in Egypt that would not use the Suez Canal as a bargaining chip, get hostile with Israel, allow labor unrest, or anything else like that violates US interests. But critical long-term development of the economy of Egypt, like refurbishment and expansion of the Suez Canal, advancing of other infrastructure projects, education amongst the population, providing enough employment for people, all of this goes unmet, which results in things like, a stuck cargo ship blocking the Suez Canal for days, or hundreds of thousands of unemployed, organized revolutionaries overthrowing your dictatorship. Coverage of Mubarak's downfall moved Egypt briefly into the hot seat. It started with the warm welcome, hey, congratulations on overthrowing that dictator that we were keeping in power for all those decades and all that. They then transitioned over into the second phase of the hot seat, the, hey, we're really concerned with the direction of your democracy phase. And this really peaked during the election that led to Mohammed Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood becoming president. At this point, panic began to set in on account of the internal pressure. See, the Muslim Brotherhood is a conservative populist party, and the monarchist Saudi regime absolutely detests the Muslim Brotherhood. They share a border with Egypt along the Sinai Peninsula, and they were really not happy about having a government led by the Muslim Brotherhood as a neighbor. They were worried it would foment unrest and rebellion within their own borders. The media coverage against Morsi was sour to say the least, but more importantly, it became relentless. And to be clear, he was not a good president. He arrested critics like comedian Bassem Youssef, and was generally just not an effective administrator. But you know what he was? He was the person elected by the people of Egypt to lead their country in the only real election that they have ever had. And it should have been the Egyptian people who decided whether or not to keep him in charge in their next presidential election. But there was no second election. On July 3rd, 2013, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi led a military coup to oust and imprison Morsi, suspending the constitution created in 2012 and suspending Egyptian democracy. Al-Sisi was a CIA asset under the Mubarak dictatorship, and likely chose July 3rd knowing it would buy him days worth of diverted attention from the media in the US. And that's assuming he even picked that date himself, and that it wasn't suggested or demanded by CIA leadership at Langley. In this case, that's how you get off the hot seat.